Alright, it's time to take the Viper out again with the 3S Plus power system. So, I don't know if you guys have watched the videos in the past where I explained that. I guess I didn't explain it very well. There were some comments regarding the 3S Plus power system that it would be difficult on the ESC. So, I wanted to explain it. This comes with a 30 amp speed controller. I want to get more power out of it and more flight time, and I want to put a 4S in it. So what I've done is I've programmed the ESC with the full throttle range on the stick, on the transmitter, full range top and bottom, minus 100 to plus 100. Then what I did was I ran it up on a load meter to find out how high on the throttle I could go with a 4S LiPo and not push it over 30 amps. And I found that to be 77% of the throttle on a 4S LiPo. It just pushes right up against the 30 amps, but it doesn't go over it. That way I'm not having to change out the 30 amp ESC, and I'm still able to get much more power out of it and more flight time than I can get with a 3S LiPo. So, on the throttle range, I then clip it at minus 100 to plus 77. As far as the ESC is concerned, it's already been programmed with the full range of the stick. So it's not going to be any harder on an ESC than if you had the full range for a 4S LiPo, but you were only flying around at 77% throttle. Okay, so 60 to 77% throttle, your normal cruise throttle range. So it's not going to be any harder on the ESC than if I had a program with the full throttle range, because all I've done is clip it after I program the ESC. So I don't have a lot of flights on this yet. It flies great on a 3S LiPo, but if you know me, I would like to have more power. So I've come up with this, what I called a 3S Plus power system, where you can use a 4S LiPo in it, clip the top of the throttle range, so you go right up to 30 amps, but not over it, because if you don't do that, if you run a 4S LiPo in this and you're hitting full throttle on this 30 amp ESC, you're going to be pushing in the mid-30s on your amp draw. If I'm pulling right at 30 amps at 77% throttle on a 4S LiPo, if you're not limiting your throttle and you've got the stock 30 amp speed controller in it, you're going to be hitting the mid-30s at least on your amp draw at full throttle on a 4S. So I don't want to burn up the ESC. That's why I'm doing this. I could go ahead and switch out the 30 amp ESC with a 40 amp ESC and get the full power of a 4S LiPo. That would be great. It will probably also mean shorter flight times because you'll be pulling more amps. So this works so well on my F-86 Saberjet. And if you guys have watched that fly after I set it up with a 3S Plus power system, it is a little rocket ship now. And it was very underpowered on just a 3S LiPo. So it made a huge difference. So I want to take this out today and put a 4S LiPo in it, clipped at 77% at the top end of the throttle, and just to see how much power it has without pulling more than 30 amps, and see what kind of flight time I'm going to get out of it. So I will see you out in the field.
Well, I thought we'd get some flights on our Viper today. It's been a while since I've flown it, and I've had so much bad luck with the T-33. I thought maybe bring out the Viper today. Okay, wind, launching. How about that on a 3S Plus power system? awesome. Awesome flying jet. Okay. Time for truth. Let's see if we can bring it in without crashing it. I don't have anybody coming. Woo! All right. It wasn't very pretty, but it's on the ground. So, I say we put another battery pack in it. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, second flight today on the Viper. I was a little nervous on the controls during the first flight. Okay, let's see if we can get it in the air. Now I still had 3.8 volts per cell after that 3-minute flight. Because I still have the stock 30 amp speed controller in it. So what I did was created a 3S Plus power system with it. And so the top of the throttle range is clipped at 77%, so I don't push past that 30 amps. It provides plenty of power and decent flight time with 3.8 volts left per cell. So if I could get it on the ground when I needed to, I didn't have to worry about traffic. I could probably get 4-minute flights out of it, leaving a little over 3.5 volts per cell. As you can see, it's got plenty of power, even with the 4S clipped at the top at 77%. How about that? I probably won't have 3.8 volts per cell after this flight. Such an awesome handling jet. Isn't that a great looking jet? I'm still a little nervous on the controls. I don't have enough flights on this one yet to be comfortable with it, and this is the first flight session I've had with a 3S Plus power system. man, does it handle so well. You can hit a little wind there. But it just handles great. Okay, so my timer is just about to expire. So let's see if we can get it back on the ground. There we go, in one piece again. I don't see any traffic. Oh, it is so rough out here. It just beats the crap out of these airframes, unfortunately. So I think with these EDF jets, I'm going to have a lot of repairs in my future. Because you can't bring them in. Some of them you can't bring them in as slowly as, you know, I would like, to where they're not, you know, you heard it bouncing and scraping across that surface. That's hard. That's hard on an airframe. But awesome flying jet. I want to see how much juice I have left in the LiPo after that flight, because I was a little harder in the throttle that flight than I was the previous one. See you in a minute. Alright, third battery pack. Third flight this morning on the LiPo. Alright, check direction, check wind. Shifted on me, 180 degrees. Alright, let's see if we can get it in the air. Well, an awesome flying EDF jet. I was impressed with this on 3S LiPo, which is, you know, kind of hard to do at my altitude. But it's pretty awesome. Oh, after the last flight, I still had just a hair over 3.8 volts per cell. Not bad at all. This seems to be a fairly efficient EDF unit. Isn't that awesome? Now, as I get more comfortable with it, I'll be able to fly it a little bit lower and closer. What an awesome jet. I can't believe I've had 2 successful landings so far. I think that at my altitude, even with that top end clipped at 77%, it has amazing power. Okay, so I'm getting at the end of my haptic again. Let's check direction over here and make sure I don't have anything coming. Let's see if I can actually get it down. coming in a little hotter than last time. Oh yeah. Not in the scrub. Alright, thank God it stopped before it got to the scrub. Should have cut, I had a little higher altitude. I should have cut the power earlier than I did. Let's see if my skids are still attached. But man, you don't want to hit this hard pack with any speed, that's for sure. So my third landing was my worst one. The first two weren't too bad considering the surface. My skids are still on there, guys. And I don't think I did any damage to the plane. I'm always worried about it hitting rocks, skidding through here. So everything looks good. They have to blow some sand out of it now, but I'm pretty happy with that. First flight session with a 3S Plus power system, and you guys saw the vertical, right? So let's check the battery real quick and see how much juice I have in it this time. As I don't think I have any doubts that I would be able to get, the way I'm flying it, I'd be able to get 4 minutes of flight time out of it if I could land right away each time. So can you see that? 3.8, 3.8, 3.8, not bad. Not bad at all. So yeah, I think definitely you could get a 4-minute flight out of it. Especially at a lower altitude where the EDF unit will be more efficient. I think you definitely, and these are just 1300 milliamp hour 4S LIPOs. So with this 3S Plus power system, I could get a 4-minute flight at the altitude that I'm flying at. My guess is that if you were at a lower altitude, you could get, 4 plus, maybe 4.5. Maybe pushing it, you might even be able to get 5 flying the way I fly it.
Okay, so I was a little nervous on the controls. Like I said, I think after today I've only got somewhere between 10 or 11 flights on it, that's it. And I had quite a span of time between the 2 flight sessions or 3 flight sessions that I've had so far on it because I had other things I had to work on. But awesome flying jet. What did you think of the 3S Plus power system now? Did you see the vertical climb on this? Did you see how much power it had? And yet, after I landed, after a 3-minute flight, I still had 3.8 volts in the cells. It's if I had a guarantee that I could land it when I needed to, at the end of my timer, but I don't have that luxury because there's traffic going up and down that lane all the time. If I could land it as when I needed to, I would be setting my timer for 4 minutes on those. And that's at high altitude. At a lower altitude, I think you'll get even more flight time and have more power. The EDF unit would just be more efficient at a lower altitude. So I'm very pleased with that. To be able to get a 3-minute flight out of this, still have 3.8 volts per cell. I mean, that's storage level, right? I don't have to do anything to the LIPOs after that 3-minute flight. They're ready to be charged up again. So it handles beautifully. As I get more comfortable with it, I'll be able to get lower and closer with it. So far I haven't seen any bad tendencies out of it. But I'm still a rookie with EDF jets. I'd never flown an EDF jet until this year. I've flown 4 EDF jets now, and this one is my favorite so far. So yeah, don't discount that 3S Plus power system, because since you're not pulling as many amps because the top of the throttle is clipped, unless you just want to limit yourself at around 75% throttle on 4S without clipping the top of the range. I always like to know, I like to push that stick all the way up. So clipping it at 77% throttle works out great for me. It has phenomenal power, even clipping it at 77% throttle, and since I'm not pulling as many amps on 4S going full throttle, I get longer flight time out of it at the same time. So don't discount that. And I did not have to replace the stock 30 amp speed controller. This is the second EDF jet that I've done this with a 3S Plus power system. And so far, I'm 2 for 2 on how much better, how much more power these jets have with a 3S Plus power system, and I didn't have to change in the electronics. So it's a win-win-win situation. So stay tuned for more. I wanted to give you one tip. I did have one failed launch on this recently. This is my first good flight session. I actually cracked the fuselage right here where the seam is, and I had to glue it back. But I had a failed launch with it, and the reason I did is this foam is very, very slick. And I live out in the desert where it's very low humidity, and the older you get, the drier your hands get. And so I was launching it, the flight session before this one, it was my very first launch, and I was launching it and my fingers slipped on that foam. And so it did not get airborne, it came back down. And it hit pretty hard. So luckily it cracked right along the seam where the foam is, so that was an easy fix. But what I did to prevent that from happening again is I put my hot glue gun on the low temperature setting, and I just shot a little line of hot glue, a little bead of hot glue in here, and took a piece of scrap plastic from like a gift card, and I just squeegeed a thin film of hot glue right along the inside of that foam to give it more of a rubberized texture to it so that I could grip it when I launch it. And so far, all the launches went off without a hitch today, and I didn't have to worry about my fingers slipping on that foam because the foam is so slick. So there's a tip for you guys. If you run into the same issue that I ran into, and I launched it a few times before that happened, but it only takes one time, you know, for your fingers to slip on that slick foam. So I'm going to start doing that from now on for all these jets that, you know, have this handhold down here for belly launches. Works out great for me. So anyway, stay tuned for more flights on this. It's awesome. I absolutely love it with the 3S Plus power system. It is another little rocket ship now, and I still get good flight time out of it.
Thanks for watching us in the air.